So everybody, while you're getting in and getting settled, we are painting Summer Owl tonight. So we'll just let everybody, it looks like we have about 170 more people to get in and get settled. So a lot of people registered for this one tonight, which is fun. So if you're brand new to our Monday Let's Paint Nights with Michaels, thank you, Michaels, for having us. We've been teaching these for a couple months now, and Jesse will teach you how to do the painting in about an hour. We ran a little bit over, so you know, it's usually about 9:15, just depending how many questions there are.
Everybody can catch up.
Yeah, so we'll paint along, and don't forget, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. And what's great is that I can ask Jessie, so she can answer them, or I'm able to answer them for you. I can private message you back if you have any questions. And at the end, we'll actually be picking a winner live. So from your comments, we'll pick a winner, and you'll win $50 worth of plaid product. So just a fun thing that we're able to do for everybody. Again, thank you for joining us. You know, we get to see a lot of familiar faces every week. So great to see everybody that's painting along. Again, if you're not painting with us and you weren't able to get your supplies from Michaels or michaels.com, which they have a lot of great options still. There's curbside delivery. You know, you can do our curbside pickup. You could do delivery, have it shipped right to you. But if you're not painting along with us, then you can always watch this video on michaels.com on their community classroom page after, which is really great that it's available. And all the other paint nights that we've done with Michaels are available, that you can go ahead and watch them after, which is really great if you want to paint again, or you missed something, or you need to rewind. They're always available for on-demand watching.
Sometimes it's easier to paint pace too. If you just want to watch it now and get inspired and ask questions, and then later you can go back and pause it, like you said, rewind it as you need it. Sometimes that's better for people too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we'll get started again. If you have questions, let us know. Jesse will walk you through Summer Owl. So we're excited. This is a fun one. We've been doing a lot of flowers, so I'm excited to see this one. And something real quick, I'll quit talking so you can get started, but don't forget to check out our Facebook page, our Let's Paint with Plaid Facebook group, actually. I know a lot of you have been posting your pictures after in that. We love to see that because Jesse and the whole team goes and can comment on them and see what you're doing. You definitely want to check that out because we have a whole program of content that we're able to provide to you guys, along with get all your products at Michaels. So it's a great partnership. Yeah. So some people have questions already. Jesse's using a 10 by 10 canvas.
Yeah, we're about to use all supplies, so don't worry, we haven't done that yet.
Yep, so 10 by 10 canvas, again, use what size you have. And again, if you don't have the exact thing, use something similar, make it your own. You can totally adapt this.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get started. Enough of me talking.
Awesome, let's go over supplies, guys. So, like Kier said, tonight I'm using a 10 by 10 canvas. You can see when I was doing my little practice here, I only had a 12 by 12, so I just made a little border, so it's 10 by 10 for you. But this is a 10 by 10 canvas. I have my palette paper, which if you're not familiar, is just like a wax coated paper that you can mix paint on. This is my favorite thing to use, but you can use a paper plate or plastic plate, whatever it is that you like to put your paint on. I've got paper towels, my water basin, or whatever you like to clean your brushes in. And then I've got this pack of this variety set of Craft Smart brushes. I think it's a 7-piece set, and we've been using this a lot for our paint night. So if you've joined us, you probably already have this pack or you have something similar to it. And this is a really good value. It's really affordable at Michaels, and it's got a ton of different sizes and shapes of brushes. So I love this one. And then, of course, tonight we're going to be using our FolkArt acrylic paints. So the colors we're using tonight are navy blue. We've got true blue, ocean view, bright green. We've got medium yellow, hot pink, and then we've also got wicker white. So like Kier said, if you're having trouble getting supplies right now, feel free to substitute out any of these colors. You can use any blues, any yellow, any white will work for this. So you can make this owl totally your own. You can see we're not using realistic colors anyway. So if you want to change the whole palette, you can totally do that. You can use any colors that you want, but these are the colors that we're going to be using tonight. So let's get started. I'm first going to grab, this is my, let's see what size is this? I'm using them so much, I can barely see the size. This is our number 5 round brush, or some of you might refer to as a liner brush. This is just a small round brush. I'm gonna put this aside. This is the first brush we're gonna use. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put some navy blue onto my palette. I only need a little bit right now, so I'm gonna put about a dime-sized amount. So what I like to do for my paintings to sort of sketch out, I call it, I'm gonna be using paint, but it's kind of like sketching, so that's why I say that. I'm gonna water down my paint a little bit. So I'm gonna put some water on my brush, and I'm gonna put it in my paint. And this is really one of the only times that you'll see me watering down the paint, because when you add water to the paint, it just kind of changes the opacity and it makes it less pigmented. So I very, very rarely water down my paint, but I only do it for right now when I'm drawing, so I have a nice smooth line. I don't have like a bump where the thick paint is. If you got a pencil at home you'd rather use, feel free to use a pencil or a pen even. We're gonna paint right over it. But since I've just got my paintbrush here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna draw our owl using my paintbrush. So again, we've got navy blue. I've got my number 5 Craftsmart liner brush. I've got my 10 by 10 canvas, and I've watered down my navy blue just a little bit.
So people are worried about the border, Jessie. So I just want to let everyone know, Jessie just painted on a larger canvas. You're gonna actually be painting the entire canvas.
Exactly. Yours is gonna look like this one here behind me. Let me grab it. Yours will look like this one here. This one's a little bigger. This is my original, but we decided to do a 10 by 10 canvas tonight. So that's why you can see I just scaled it down a little bit. So this is what yours will look like. It'll be a full pink, just like in the event description. So full pink background. So maybe, should I keep this one here, Kira? You think that'll be better?
Yeah, that's better. Thanks.
I don't want to confuse people though, because it's going to be a different size.
We can go little. I think everybody's in already, so just know that that white border it's just the 10 by 10 canvas you guys are painting. I mean, you're welcome to put a border on it, but I would just go all pink canvas.
Exactly. Just pretend that mine's in a picture frame, because yours is going to look just like pink. It's the same size as the inside pink part. That's the size of our canvas, so that's the part that we're going to paint. Sorry to confuse y'all. Okay, so again, we've got our navy blue paint. I've got my number 1 liner brush. And I've watered down my paint just a little bit. It's sort of an inky consistency, so we can sort of do some sketching, as I call it, sort of sketching with paint. So we are going to be drawing this by hand tonight, and it sort of intimidates a lot of people, but don't worry. The owl's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so painterly at the end. I really promise you can't mess it up, so don't stress about it. So I'm gonna use my finger, and I'm gonna sort of find the center of my canvas. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it. If you want to measure it, you totally can. If you want to break out a ruler, it's up to you, but I'm not going to measure it tonight. And then I'm going to move about an inch up, and I'm going to mark that with my paintbrush. So again, we found the center, we just eyeballed it, and then we went about an inch up, and then I marked it with my paintbrush. The next thing we're going to do is we want to do a mark on either side of that, about a ½ inch on either side. So we'll do a mark here and a mark here. So it should be about an inch wide. And you can see we're sort of painting the in-between of the owl's eyes right now. That's sort of the space between the eyes. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be painting the circles of the eyes. So I'm gonna freehand it. A lot of people are intimidated by circles. So if you have a cup, or if you have a circle stencil or some sort of lid around that is about the size, it's probably about 2 or 3 inches. You can totally use that to trace it. So we're gonna be drawing the big owl eyes. If you've got like a Tupperware lid or even like a Mod Podge lid or something, would probably be a great size. So whatever you've got around, feel free to trace that. But also please don't be intimidated. I really think you can sketch this, these perfect circles better than you probably think you can. So I'm gonna start by going pretty slow. This is gonna be the edge of my circle. Pretty slow, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush. Again, I'm sort of doing sketching motions, trying to make sure that my circle's pretty even. It's probably about 2 inches wide, maybe 2.5 inches. You can see I kind of went up there, but I decided that was too big, so I brought it back in. If you feel like you've sort of messed it up a little bit at this point, don't stress, because you can't mess it up. You can always paint over it, and we're going to be adding a ton of paint on top of it. So this is not going to be final. You can always fix it later. You can see we're adding tons of paint around it. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to mirror that onto the left side. So again, we're gonna do nice and slow. We're gonna take our time. And again, this is the eyes of our owl. And it's not gonna be perfect because I'm just doing it by hand. But I'm gonna try to make it, you know, as close to perfect as I can, of course. You can go back and adjust it if you feel like they're not matching. Another trick too is I have my painting flat here, of course, so you guys can see it on the camera. But I highly recommend when you're doing something like this and you need to see proportions, you need to get a really good idea, hold it up in front of you because it will be much easier for you to see. As soon as you hold it up, you're going to totally see if it's crooked or if one eye is bigger, it's going to be much clearer to you. It's a little hard when it's flat like this. It's hard to get a good idea of the perspective and of how the circles are sitting on your canvas. So I really highly recommend that you hold it up if you're having trouble. But again, I'm keeping mine flat so you guys can see it. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too hard for you guys. All we need basically is 2 big circles in the upper middle area of the canvas. If you got that, then you're doing good. Again, feel free to use like a small cap or a lid or a small cup to trace if you feel more comfortable doing that. You can just trace it with your paintbrush. But also don't be intimidated to just paint it by hand. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna draw his beak. So to do that, it's gonna be sort of an upside down curved triangle, and that might be kind of confusing. So again, we still have our number 5 round brush and we're still using navy blue. We still have it watered down. We're still doing sort of our sketch of the owl. So we're doing our upside down curved triangle. So what I mean by that is we're gonna have the top part, and then when it comes down, it's going to curve a little bit. So hopefully you guys can see that. So it's not perfectly straight. It's not just a regular triangle like that. We curved it a little bit. So we don't want that. We want it to be curved. We're gonna curve it down. You can curve it down to the right or to the left. It's kind of up to you. I curved mine down to the right. So we're gonna paint that just in the middle below our eyes. At the top. And then sort of a nice little curved beak. Just a little subtle curve. And that is going to be the beak of our owl. Okay, so now that we've painted our little curved triangle beak, we are going to start painting the body of our owl. We're going to start sort of making him come to life, sort of finish the shape of him. So we're going to sort of draw his head, and to do that, we're just going to follow the curve of the eyes. The eyes are obviously the biggest part on this owl, so we're just going to follow those eyes, follow the curve on either side. So here I'll show you what I mean. And you can see I sort of have this extra line here because I decided I want to make it smaller, so I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to pretend like it's not there for the rest of the painting. So I'm just going to follow this line here, the line of the eye, and it's going to be about an inch away from it. So I'm sort of following that curve and going down, just making a little curved line there, and then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And again, I can't recommend enough to hold your painting upright to look at it. It'll be much easier for you to see if it's even. Hold your painting up and it'll be very clear to you if there's any wonkiness, if it's not even. So just 2 little curves. So it's kind of like parentheses on either side of our big eyes. So now we're simply going to follow these curves down, and we're going to sort of do a nice gentle curve and meet them in the corners. So nice gentle curve right into the corner. And this is sort of the body or the shoulders of our owl. Nice gentle curve. Super easy. And we're just gonna, like I said, that's what we're using our square canvas. We'll do it right into the corners. If you're using our rectangular canvas and it's a little bit wider, you might just need to do, yours probably won't go into the corners. It'll be kind of wide if you do that. So you just might need to go straight down, but that's okay. So once you've got our little shoulders in, we're going to paint the top. So this is just going to be a small sort of another little curved area. And it's going to be about an inch from the top of our canvas, of our 10 by 10 canvas. So it's got a slight curve to it. It's not totally flat, just sort of right up there. And again, don't stress, this does need to be perfect because we're going to paint a ton on top of it. We're going to paint the pink around it. We're going to paint all these fun colors on the inside. So we just want to get sort of a good sketch of where these areas are. And then once we do that, we're going to sort of draw these tufts of feathers that kind of look like ears, but I'm pretty sure they're not ears. I don't think that this is the ears of the owl, but these tufts of feathers here, we're gonna draw them, and they kind of look like cat ears or something. They're gonna go right into the corners, just like we did on the bottom. So your owl should look a little bit something like this. How's everybody doing, Kira? I think everybody is
Yeah, I think everybody is good. Everyone's saying how easy, looks great, it's exciting. So
awesome.
Everyone's drawing their owls.
Good. All right.
Some people are asking why we're not painting the background first. That's probably the biggest question.
So yeah, if you want to paint the background first, you can totally do that. Whenever we do our Let's Paint Live, we try to keep it to about an hour. So it would be hard for us to wait for that pink to dry or to let everybody know ahead of time to paint their background pink. That's what we're going to paint around the owl. But if you're going to paint this painting later, feel free to paint your whole background pink and then let it dry completely and then just paint your owl right on top. That's a great idea. Might save you some time. Okay, so that said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our hot pink. We're going to put about a nickel-sized amount onto our palette. And I'm going to pick up my 3/4 inch flat brush, which is the biggest flat brush in this variety pack. Any larger size flat brush will do. And I'm going to wet my brush. I don't want a ton of water on it, but I do want to make sure it's nice and soft. And we're just going to paint the background right now. So we're just going to go around the owl and paint the background pink. Or if you don't want to paint the background pink, you can totally pick whichever color you like. It's totally up to you. I just love this pop of pink in the background. I think it's really fun. I'm just going right up to the edges, right up to my navy blue lines that I drew. I'm just going to paint the whole background around it. And at this time, you can feel free to paint the edges of your canvas too. If you want to go ahead and paint the sides pink, feel free. Or you can paint them a different color. It's up to you. I usually save that till later just because it gets kind of messy. But feel free to paint the sides now. If you've got paper underneath you, it's probably a better idea because you're going to be flipping it all over the place.
And what size brush are you using, Jessie?
We have our 3/4 inch flat brush. So a 1 inch flat brush will be fine, a 1/2 inch flat, any sort of larger, medium to large size flat brush will work for this part. We're just space coating the background. We're using hot pink.
I just wrote hot pin, so I apologize, everybody. I corrected it with hot pink.
I'm sure they can understand it.
I think that might be my first typo so far of these classes. That's pretty good.
That is really good.
A lot of pressure.
It is. You got to type quick on that chat, and there's no autocorrect.
Yep.
All right. So again, this is sort of a quick part since our canvas is pretty small. I just want to get a nice smooth coat of pink. If you feel like you need 2 coats of pink, just feel free to let it dry and go back later and paint pink. We're not going to really be painting on the background at all. Oops, I got blue. That's okay. We're not really going to be painting on the background anymore. It's just going to be solid pink, so you'll have time to do that later.
And you could paint it any color. People are asking for some substitutions. You could go with the teal or the turquoise or the navy or leave it white, but I love that hot pink.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. Whatever color palette you're using, just honestly pick your favorite of it and paint that the background. That's what I did when I was coming up with this painting. It's totally up to you. Okay, make sure my brush is nice and dry. So the next thing we're doing, I have navy on my palette already. So if you need a little more navy, go ahead and put some more on your palette. We used it, of course, to do our little sketching. And I'm going to hang on to my 3/4 inch flat brush. I did clean it off in the water, so I got the pink off, and then I dried it. So now all we're going to do is we're going to paint inside the eyes with the navy. So again, I'm still using my 3/4 inch flat brush. And I've got the navy blue. And I'm just filling in the eyes, just a single coat, nice and smooth. If you feel like you want to use a smaller flat brush, if that's easier for you, feel free.
I think people need a second to get caught up with the pink and then go into the blue.
Okay.
So we'll give them a minute to fill in the eyes.
Yep.
It's looking like an owl already.
Yeah. We'll just hang on a minute or two while people catch up.
Yeah, I'm just checking it out, everybody painting.
Cool.
So fun to see everybody.
So again, just to recap, all we did is we took our 3/4 inch flat brush and we painted the background with hot pink. And then I washed my brush in the water, and then I just took navy blue and I just filled in the eyes with the same brush. So sort of give you guys a recap for those who are catching up. And don't worry, everybody's owls are going to be different. If your eyes are higher or lower or bigger or smaller, that's okay. It's sort of a funky owl anyway. It's not super realistic to begin with. So however your owl looks is perfect.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the bigger the eyes, the better on this guy.
Yeah, it's really fun. How do you think we're doing, Kira? People caught up?
Yeah, I think we can keep going.
Okay, we'll go nice and slow. We'll keep it slow for you
Yeah.
guys.
Give everybody a minute.
Yeah. So this is another really quick, simple step, so you guys can just listen if you're still catching up. I'm going to grab my number 8 flat brush, which is just a tiny little flat brush, and I'm going to use navy blue to fill in the beak. That's it. So we're just going to fill in the beak, get that blue in there. Oops. Go ahead and I'm going to clean my brush off. And again, that was our number 8 flat brush, which is a tiny little flat brush, and we were still using navy blue. We just filled in the beak. Okay, so for those of you who are caught up, you can go ahead and grab some of your medium yellow and put about a nickel size amount on your palette. Get yourself ready for the next step. And we are going to grab our 3/4 inch flat brush. So this is the big flat brush we use to do the background. So this is like I said, this is the largest flat brush in this variety set if you've got it, but if you've got a 1/2 inch flat or a 1 inch flat, that's totally fine, just something similar to the size. And I just put some medium yellow onto my palette. Any yellow paint you have is fine. If it's darker or lighter, that's totally fine. Whatever you've got at home will work. So this is sort of the fun part. We're getting to the fun part now, and the rest of it is going to be, this was just simple, getting our colors down, getting our shapes in, but now we're going to start painting with feathers, which is, in my opinion, the best part of this whole painting. So I'm going to pick up some of my medium yellow on my 3/4 inch flat brush, and I'm going to start putting feathers. I'm going to keep them going in one direction, but we're going to make sure that the colors are really random. We want them to be totally, we don't want them to be, there to be any sort of pattern to the colors. We want it to be really funky and bright. So yeah, we're going to start painting the feathers. I'm going to go really slow for you guys. So like I said, we're going to start on the bottom area, and we are going to, we want all feathers to go down. that's important. So just like on any animal, like if it's got fur or feathers, they're always going in one direction. They're not going in a million different directions. They're always going to be going in the different areas of the animal's body in one direction. So for this sort of chest area of our owl, they're all going to be going down. So here, I'll show you how to do the feather. If you've joined us for Let's Paint Live before, you probably are familiar with these different pressures for different widths of lines with our brush. So we're kind of going to be playing with that tonight too. So of course, if you push down hard, you're going to get wide lines. If you push down lightly, you're going to get thin lines. So we're going to sort of press down pretty hard on our brush so that we get really wide lines for these big strokes of color. So I'll start on the bottom. I'll just kind of show you what I mean. I'm going to press down and have a big stroke of color there. And again, I'm going sideways. You can see I'm holding my brush sideways. I'm not going flat. I'm holding it sideways, so it's sort of like a dash of color. And then maybe I'll put some yellow over here. And you can sort of make it vary the width and the length of your feathers or brush strokes, whatever you want to call them. I'm gonna put some over here. You do want to make sure it's balanced though. You don't want to put all the yellow on one side or all the yellow on the top or something like that. You kind of want the colors to be balanced, so make sure they're pretty even. And again, you just want big strokes of color. And again, we're going down. Right now, we're just sort of sticking to the bottom and all of our brush strokes are going down. So I'm gonna make a brush stroke here. I'm gonna kind of follow the curve of the owl because that's kind of how the feathers would be. Maybe I'll do another one over here. Just sort of following the curve. So it's kind of fun. You don't have to think about it too hard. You can kind of have fun with this step. And you can do as much yellow or as little yellow as you want. If you're not a fan of yellow, then you don't have to do as much. If you love yellow, then you can make most of your owl yellow. It's totally up to you.
So Roxanne has a question. If you use a different brush, we get different feather sizes. So are you going to change up the size that you use, or are we only using the 3/4 inch?
We're only going to use a 3/4 inch. You can totally use different brushes to get different sizes. You can do this technique too with the round brush. So we've also got in this pack, if you've got the same pack as me, the number 10 round brush. So you can totally do it with that too. Here, I'll show you if you prefer a round brush. You can do this same technique. So it's up to you. If you want to switch to different sizes, you can see these are all kind of funky here, but I did use the same brush for all of the feathers for this one. I used the 3/4 inch flat brush. I just did different pressures and I did different lengths of the feathers to kind of get a variety. But if you find that it's easier to use different brushes to get that variety, then feel free. That's a great idea. So since you suggested that, I'm going to kind of show you guys, and I am going to switch to my number 10 round brush. But again, you can totally use your big flat brush. You can use your round brush. You can use a smaller brush if you want to. It's totally up to you. If you use a smaller brush, you'll get thinner feathers. If you use an even bigger brush, if you have like a 2-inch brush, you'll get really thick feathers. So it's totally up to you. So again, all we've done is we just put our yellow brush strokes toward the bottom half of our owl.
I think you're good. I think you can keep going.
Okay, good. All right, so I've switched to my, sorry to switch it up, but I've switched to my number 10 round brush, which is a big round brush. But feel free to stick with your flat brush. And I'm gonna put some, you can see on my owl here, I kind of have like a lot of yellow above like the brow of the owl. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put those lines there. Just gonna kind of go right above where the eye is. And you can see I press down pretty hard to get a nice thick line. And there's gonna be tons of overlapping on this owl. You just kind of want to keep your owl, wherever you're doing the brush strokes, always going in the same direction. So like I said, on the bottom, we had them all sort of going vertically. Up on the top where the brow is, you've kind of got them mirrored. So there just should be a little bit of rhyme and reason to the way that your feathers go, just to make it look a little bit more realistic.
Could you do a couple practice eyebrows, Jessie, like on your palette to show people kind of?
Yeah. So it's sort of just like, I don't know how to describe it. It looks kind of like toothpaste. You just sort of do it like that. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just sort of like a wiggly line. So it's down, up, and then for the other side, it'll be down, up, in the other direction. So not too tricky, and it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be painting a lot more colors on top of it. So yeah, don't spend too much time on the brow. So we're gonna put a lot more detail. So you can see we've got all this white and the navy. We're gonna put a lot more detail later on in the painting. Right now we're just sort of getting all these base colors down. So you can even put some yellow up in this tufts of feather area. I don't know if they're called horns or ears or what they're called, but
I think we've called them ears before.
You can add some yellow up there. And again, we're gonna be layering these paints. We're gonna be putting tons of color. So just sort of want it to be a little bit balanced, sort of where you feel like maybe it needs some yellow, feel free to add some yellow. And notice I haven't really painted anything on the forehead yet. We just sort of painted on the bottom half, we did the brows, and then I put a couple of strokes up towards our little tufts of feathers. So once you've got that, again, don't spend too much time on it, don't overthink it. You just want really loose, quick brush strokes. So that's sort of the look of this painting. That's what sort of gives it so much character. So don't spend too much time, don't like fuss over it too much, because then it's not gonna be as loose and painterly as we're going for. I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush off, but I'm gonna hang on to it because we're gonna go back to that to add the rest of the colors. And I'm gonna switch to my smaller round brush that we used in the beginning to do our, to paint all of our navy lines. So we're back to our number 5 round brush, it's just this sort of tiny round guy. And so we're gonna continue with the yellow, but you can see we're gonna do all these little feathers in the top of his head. So all these tiny little feathers sort of on his forehead, we're gonna do those now. So I'm gonna put some yellow on my brush and we're gonna have them all going up. So you want them all to go in one direction again. Just little tiny dashes of feathers, sort of like if you ever painted grass, sort of like that same shape. Just tiny little brush strokes. Again, doesn't be perfect. We're gonna do tons of layering up here too. So just tiny little brush strokes. And you don't need to fill it in because we're gonna be putting lots of color. Just want a good amount of yellow. And that's just the area sort of above the owl's brow. And again, don't spend too much time on that. Don't fuss over it. You want them to just be tiny, loose little brush strokes. You can see how quick they look there. Just really quick little loose shapes. So I'm gonna hang on to this one too, because we're gonna be going back and forth with these two brushes a lot with our number 10 round and our number 5 round. I'm gonna hang on to these two guys because we're gonna be using them a good bit. Or flat brushes too. If you don't have this tiny round and you want to use your little flat brush instead, just hold it vertically and do the exact same motion. Just pull it up in the exact same way. You can totally use this brush too if you don't have that. Give people a second just to catch up on that one.
Yeah, everybody's loving it, Jessie. Everyone's, I think, just painting along, honestly.
Awesome.
Adding their feathers. You can see everybody painting.
This is one of my favorite paintings I think I've done. So this is a really fun one. I love this painting.
I love the colors.
Thanks, yeah, you too. All right, so the next color we're gonna grab is, I've got bright green. So any sort of like lime, bright, just green color that you have. And I'm gonna put about a nickel size amount on my palette. So if you don't have like a bright green, if you only have sort of a medium green, you can totally take that green and mix it with yellow and you'll get more of a lime green. So you can see for this one, we have sort of like a limeish green here. So feel free to mix that. You can do like a darker green and yellow to get this nice bright green, but what we're using is bright green. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab my large round brush, my number 10, and we're gonna do the same thing we did for the yellow feathers on the bottom. Just we're gonna stick to the bottom half of the owl again to start. We're gonna do the same thing that we did with the yellow one. Just sort of random brush strokes. Again, the harder you push down on your brush, the wider the feather is going to be. If you push down only a little bit, you're gonna get really thin feathers. So it's kind of up to you. I like the big dashes of color, so I'm putting a good amount of pressure on my brush because I like the way that it looks. We're just kind of keeping it random again. You can go right up and overlap the yellow. We want it to be just sort of a random mess of colors. You can do as much or as little green as you want. I'm going to put a little bit up in the tufts too, just like we did with the yellow. And add a little bit of green up there, just sort of randomly, just to add some color there too. And again, don't forget, you can do as much or as little of the green as you'd like. And you don't need to worry about filling it in right now because we still have several more colors to go, so don't stress. If you can see I have a ton of white left, so we have a lot more colors to fill in. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush off. Again, just really random, quick, loose strokes. I'm gonna go to my smaller brush. Again, my number 5 round brush. This is the smaller guy. I'm gonna do the same thing we did for these little forehead feathers. Just like the little sprigs of grass that we talked about before. We're just gonna go in between the yellow. You can overlap the yellow. And you will notice as we continue adding these colors, using the same technique, I was sort of strategic in the order that we're doing these colors. So if you mix yellow and green together right now, if they mix together, they won't get muddy on your palette because, of course, they are in the same family. Of course, green has yellow in it. So if they mix together, it won't get muddy, it won't get brown or anything like that. So as we're doing it, you'll be able to see we're kind of doing like the next color in the family and sort of getting it darker and darker so that the colors are drying on your canvas as we're adding them. So it's a little bit confusing, but we're kind of going, sticking to the color family so that if they do mix together while they're still wet, it won't matter. We're kind of being strategic in the order that we're painting tonight.
Right, so you picked these colors on purpose so you could layer them and they could touch each other, which is important. It's not just a bunch of just brush strokes at random colors.
If we had done the green and then the next thing we went in is with the pink, and the pink mixing with the green, that would turn brown. So you just need to know a little bit about color theory. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the color wheel, just knowing which colors are next to each other. Those are safe to put, in a row. They won't get brown. If colors are across from each other on the color wheel, those would get brown. So just sort of keep that in mind, or you can just dry it in between. If that stresses you out and you aren't familiar with color theory and you aren't familiar with the color wheel, just take a hair dryer between colors and you can do it in any order that you want. But since we're not using a hair dryer tonight, we're just sort of sticking the color families and going in that order so they don't mix and get muddy on our canvas as they're drying. Hopefully that makes sense.
If somebody had a couple people got too close to the beak or they overlapped, you can just let that dry, hit it with a hair dryer or just let it dry, and then you can always go back and paint over it and cover it up. That's what is so great about acrylic paint. Somebody made that comment earlier. You can always paint over it. So let it dry. That's the best tip. Don't try to fix it while it's wet. Just let that spot go and you can go back over it.
Yeah, totally agree. So we're going to be adding a lot more details and a lot more layering around the beak. So if you got over the beak, don't worry about it because we're going to be adding more blue to it later on anyway. You can see that these two beaks look kind of different, don't they? And that's because we're going to be adding much more paint to get to this final result. So don't stress about that. We're going to be painting over all of this. It's going to be easy to touch up. Okay, so the next color we're going to add for our feathers is Ocean View. So you can see, of course, blue and green are next to each other on the color wheel. So if they mix together, it won't be an issue. So again, I'm using Ocean View, which is a pretty light blue color. If you don't have Ocean View, you can go ahead and you can grab like a bright blue or like a true blue and mix that with white. And so you can use that for this color instead. So if you don't have a light blue like this, feel free to mix like a medium blue or even the navy blue might work with white. You can just do one part to one part, blue to white, and you'll get something similar to this pretty light blue. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're sticking to sort of the same technique all throughout. We're gonna start with the feathers on the chest of our owl, adding blue. If you like this color a lot, then add a lot of it. If you don't like this color as much, then maybe don't add as much. It's totally up to you. And you can overlap the other colors. The yellow should be pretty dry on your canvas now. Mine is, so you could mix them together anyway. They'll just be a green. But you don't need to worry about that. And if it does mix with the green, it'll still be pretty. And then I'm going to do some up around the eyes too. You can see I'm going to start adding a little bit of color around there, sort of following the shape of the eyes. We are still using our number 10 round brush. But you can use a flat brush too, just hold it vertically.
And is this the number 5 or number 8 round?
This is the number 10.
Number 10. Neither one. I don't have the brushes written down today. I just have colors.
No, it's because whenever I paint these, I always switch around. I need to be more strategic in my brush work. I sort of just am like, I think I'll use this brush now. I don't plan with this colors. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit in these tufts of feathers up on near where they kind of look like ears. We're gonna put some blue up there too. I know they're not ears, don't worry, but they look like it. And then I'm even gonna put a little bit of, I'm gonna sort of have it going over the edge to make it look like feathers. You can see here, I sort of have like a feather texture. So I'm gonna add a little bit of blue there just to give it a little bit of texture on the sides so it doesn't look so cartoonish. It kind of has some texture and looks a little more realistic, like it might be real feathers on the sides there. All right, so again, like I said, use as much or as little of this color as you'd like. It's totally up to you. All right, so that's probably good. We can always go back and add more if we want. I'm gonna clean this brush off. I'm seeing that people are saying the tufts are called horns. I had a feeling. I think this is a, yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's right.
I like when they, go ahead.
I will say the mascot for my college is an owl, so I'm a little bit ashamed that I don't know what they're called, but anyway, what were you gonna say, Kira?
I like when we make up like names for animals and bug parts. Usually, we used to Google it before. Now we're just like, let's make this up. This is what it's called, people.
You know what I'm talking about? That's all that matters for the painting process. It may not be anatomically correct, but as long as you know what I'm referring to, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you get it.
You get it, exactly. All right. So again, we're gonna keep doing the same thing. I'm gonna pick up my smaller round brush, which is my number 5, and we're gonna do our little forehead feathers, the tiny little guys. And we're pulling our brush upwards, and we can overlap and get close to the other colors because eventually we do want them to all be filled in. We don't want to see any white at the end of it. So now's a good time to sort of start getting close to the other colors. They should be getting pretty dry on your canvas by now. It depends on what sort of your weather is like. If you're in a sort of a humid area, it might still be wet, but mine is already dry. So I'm going to sort of start overlapping these colors. I'm sort of going up over the top line. I hope you can see that. So where my navy line is that we painted, I'm kind of going over it so I can cover that up a little. So you can see it's sort of like a textured edge instead of just that harsh line. You can see the little feathers going over it. Okay. I'm going to clean my brush off. And the next color we're going to use is our hot pink. So if you still have some on your palette, feel free to use that. But if you don't have any left when we did the background, go ahead and add some more. Mine sort of has a skin on it now. It's sort of just been sitting there too long. So I'm going to put some fresh paint down there. I don't want to use, I don't want to get, you know, sort of clumps in my paint since it's been drying on my palette for a while. So again, doing the same thing. Got my number 10 round brush again. We're just drawing more feathers on the chest. And if this mixes with the blue that we just did, that should be fine. It shouldn't get muddy. The green should be dry by now, so we don't need to worry about that. And we're just sort of, again, keeping in mind now that we really want to sort of start filling in some of the areas. So if you've got a big patch of area that's still white, you want to start putting some feathers there because we've only got a few colors left, and we want to make sure that we cover the whole canvas. And again, I'm going right up to the other colors, making sure I pay attention to the bottom and the edges over here. We really want to start thinking about how our owl is going to be covered. So I'm going around the eyes here, following the shape. Again, do as much or as little of this color as you like. If you really like the hot pink, add a ton. And if not, then don't add as much. It's totally up to you. I love the hot pink, so I put a lot. And then once again, we're doing the second step is getting our smaller round brush. Our number 5, we're doing the little pink feathers on the forehead. Again, making sure that we're paying attention to filling in the gaps because we've only got a couple of colors left. Making sure we cover up all that white canvas. And you can see I sort of am ignoring sort of this area right next to the eyes. And that's because we're gonna go back and we're gonna paint these white details, these white feathers. So in case you're wondering why I'm just sort of like ignoring those areas, that's why. We're gonna go back and we're gonna paint some different feathers in those areas to give it a little bit of extra detail. All right. How's everybody doing, Kira?
Everybody's good. Everyone's just saying thank you, and I just thanked everybody for all the sweet comments.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everybody's just painting feathers. They were talking about how scary the owl looks right now because his eyes are really dark.
Empty eyes.
Yeah. But you could do this. Some people keep saying Halloween, so you could really even change these colors up, do the same technique, but do like green, purple, black. Yeah.
Love that idea. Please somebody do that. Do like a purple and orange and black owl. I love that idea.
The background could be purple or black. It'd be really cool.
Love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun for Halloween decoration. I can't believe we're already talking about Halloween.
I know. It's going to happen. Hopefully it happens.
Yes, exactly. All right. Okay, so the next color, we're still sticking with our technique. We haven't finished yet. We're gonna grab True Blue, which is just sort of like a medium blue color. It's like a cobalt if you have that at home. And I'm gonna grab my bigger round brush and number 10, and we're gonna start doing the same thing. We're gonna add the feathers down on the bottom. And again, we only have 2 colors left. We've got this and we've got our navy. So now is really the time to start covering up these white areas of canvas. You don't really want to be seeing them. You want to sort of stick with our sort of feather stroke going up and down, keeping it vertical, but we want to start filling in the areas where you can see canvas because we've only got a couple colors left.
And this is True Blue, right?
Yeah, this is True Blue. So any medium blue, like a cobalt color that you've got will totally work for this. And don't forget, you can sort of vary the shapes of your feathers, make them wider or make them narrower, just like a real owl would look. And I'm going to go around the eyes too, start filling in some of that area, just on either side. Some blue over there, some blue here. Again, I'm sort of keeping my lines vertical. You can see I'm being a little more strategic this time because I really am looking for areas of white and making sure that they're getting covered. Again, we have one more color after this, but I don't want to leave any white space. I'm also going to add some to these upper tufts of feathers.
His horns.
His horns, thank you. Add some to the owl's horns. Making sure that we're starting to cover up the canvas up here as well. We don't want to have any canvas showing. But again, we do have one more color, so keep that in mind too. All right, so I think maybe that's good for the blue. Maybe we'll stop there because we have another color still. You don't want to overdo it for sure. And clean my brush off. We're gonna do the same thing, of course, with our little forehead feathers. I'm feeling the forehead is probably not called the forehead either, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So again, we've got our smaller round brush, our number 5, and we're gonna do our little tiny brush strokes up on this area, trying to cover up where there's white canvas showing through. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this sort of loose, bright way of painting.
Yeah, someone actually said that. Love the freedom.
Yeah, it is
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. We'll try to switch it up each week for sure. Okay. So last but not least for this part of our painting, don't worry, it's not going to be done yet. We're not going to leave those eyes so creepy. But the last color for the feather technique that we're doing right now is going to be navy blue. So if you have some navy blue left on your palette, perfect. If you need to add some more, go ahead and do that. And of course, we're going to go back to our number, keep forgetting, 10 round brush for the bigger feathers. We'll do the same thing. So this is going to be sort of a more dramatic addition because this is much darker than the rest of our colors. So it's sort of up to you. If you want a darker owl, you can put a lot of navy blue. If you want yours to be more bright, then you might want to be a little more sparing with your navy. Totally up to you. But again, we're sort of overlapping the other colors, making sure that there's no canvas showing through. You can see I really didn't leave much space with the navy, so I am going to just start sort of putting it over other colors because I do want the navy to show through. So okay, that's probably good. And then I'm going to add some to these upper tufts of feathers as well. And I'm going to kind of go out to the side too. I'm going to sort of break that barrier to look sort of like real feathers, just how we did with the light blue earlier. Kind of going to do that again. Kind of go over the edge so it looks like it's feather textures. And again, that was the last color. So make sure that on the bottom half of your owl that it's all covered. None of the canvas is showing through. If you need to go ahead and put some more navy where there's canvas showing through, feel free. If you feel like you've got too much navy down there and you still have canvas showing through, go ahead and feel free to pick up another color. Maybe let it dry for a minute or hit a hair dryer to it. But honestly, this should be pretty dry by now. Feel free to go back and add any more of these colors that you feel like it needs more of. If you think that it needs more yellow, feel free to go back and add more yellow, green, pink, whatever it is. Totally feel free to do that. Just make sure that your paints beneath it are dry. You don't want to start making it muddy at this point. Okay, so the next step of our painting, we are going to grab some wicker white. We kind of finished, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a step, you guys. We have to do navy on the forehead. So our number 5 round brush, the one that we've been using all along, we're gonna do the little navy feathers up top. I almost forgot. I'm gonna put some more navy down here so there's less white showing. All right. Okay. So now I got ahead of myself. Now we're gonna go to the next step. So once you've done your little navy forehead feathers, we're going to switch to our wicker white. And I'm gonna put about a nickel size amount on my palette. And any white will do. This is my favorite white in the FolkArt line because it's a little bit warm. You can use titanium white, it's a little bit cooler, but any white acrylic you have is fine. And we're gonna start painting some of these feathers that are around the eyes. So I just painted some navy there. So I'm gonna wipe it away a little bit because I don't want that to be wet. That wasn't a good idea on my part. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab our number 10 round brush. It's the same one we've been using for the feathers. And we're gonna pick up some wicker white. So for this, we're gonna do sort of similar strokes because you want them to be sort of loose and feather-like, but we're gonna try to follow, to go around our eyes and make sure that we sort of have nice crisp eyes showing through. So we're gonna be doing the same sort of loose brush stroke, but we're gonna be a little bit more careful for this. So here, first of all, you can see that I still have sort of my sketchy lines showing, and I wanna make sure those get covered. I don't wanna see those anymore. So I'm gonna sort of just touch up and go over my little navy blue sketchy lines from that first step that we did in the painting, where I sort of messed up and I decided to change where my lines were. We're gonna go ahead and we're just sort of cover that up, kind of like white out. Just sort of make sure that's gone so we can start focusing on the shapes of the feathers. Just sort of touch it up and go over that. Just make it disappear. And if it's showing through a little bit, still don't stress about it because I'm gonna put more white on top of it. I just wanna sort of get the most of it gone. Okay, so now my eyes are a little bit cleaner, a little bit more crisp. So I'm going to start by, again, I have my number 10 round brush and we've got wicker white. I'm going to start and I'm going to go just right beneath the eye. And I'm going to do sort of a flicking motion out to the side, just sort of like the feathers you've been doing, how we sort of did pulled up and pulled down. I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to follow the shape of the eye. I'm going to flick out to the side to create that feather look. Do the same thing for this side. Sort of the white feathers that are around the owl's eyes. And I'm going to continue doing that, sort of fanning those motions out towards the beak. So here, in case that's not clear, I would show you on my palette, but of course it's white. We're going to sort of flick out in that direction and then keep going down from the center, flicking out our feather shapes. So you can see that it's sort of feathered at the bottom. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I've got some blue on my brush. I'm going to wipe that off because my navy was still a little bit wet. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side, just sort of flicking out to the left now, mirroring what we did. Starting in the same spot, just making these feather texture and shapes going down. And it's sort of framing on the nose. You want to go on either side of the nose. But you want to make sure you see these sort of pretty feather shapes poking down. I'm just covering the rest of it in white around here. I don't like for there to be any raw canvas showing, so if there is, I like to cover it in white. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, we just kind of sort of start at the center and we followed the shape of the eye and we flicked our brush out and then we just sort of fanned it down, continuing until we met the beak. Again, I keep getting blue on my brush, but that's okay, I just wipe it off. And then do the same thing on the left side. Follow the shape of the eye and flicked out, sort of fanned it down to create that feather texture. I'm just making sure that I've got good coverage. I've got navy under there, so of course that's a little bit tricky to cover up, but you can always feel free to let it dry and add another coat if it's bugging you. So now we're gonna do the same thing on the top of the eyes. We're going to start in the center and we're going to do our little flicking out motions to sort of mirror the shape of the brow. So here we go. We're going to start in the middle, sort of flick our brush out. We're going to fan it around the eye, flicking the brush out, making sure that we're sort of overlapping the colors so you can see that texture. And we're going to mirror on the other side. And again, you want to make sure that it's sort of clean around your eyes. So now we've got this nice feather texture around our owl's eyes. Hopefully your navy eyes are pretty crisp at this point. You sort of touch them up and sort of fix them around the edges with your white.
He's getting cuter as you go. It's a boy owl.
Decided it's a boy.
Boy.
Okay, so now I clean my brush off. Feel free to just take a moment to paint those white feathers around your eyes. I love all of the owl puns.
I know.
So good. So don't worry, the next step is going to take our cute little owl, make him much less creepy. We're going to work on the eyes next. Okay, so hopefully you guys are catching up with that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab a smaller flat brush. So I'm gonna get this one here. This is my number 8 flat brush. It's just a tiny little flat brush, you can see. So I'm gonna pick up some of my I keep calling it lime green. It looks like lime green, my bright green. I've got sort of a skin on it because it's pretty dry here. So if you need to put fresh paint on your palette, go ahead and do that. I just don't wanna waste this paint. I'm gonna put some fresh though. I don't want any clumps.
And what size brush?
It is the number 8 flat brush. It's a tiny little guy. Tiny little flat guy. So I'm just putting some of this bright green on my brush. And we are going to paint, I guess this is the iris of our owl's eyes. I think I got that right. And we're gonna do it in one brush stroke. So don't be intimidated, because luckily you can always just let it dry and touch it back up with the navy and it'll be super easy to cover up. So don't stress about it. But we're gonna try our best to get a nice clean brush stroke the first time. So
you wanna do a practice stroke? Yeah.
That's what practice. Oh, I'm gonna move these because they're getting okay, so you guys can see that, right? Yeah. So we're gonna pretend like we're doing this eye right here. We're gonna hold our brush upright. So you guys can see, okay, our brush upright. We're gonna pull down and then go to the side, kind of like that. And I made it kind of curved. It's gonna be a little less curved than that. So we're gonna pull down and go to the side, and we're gonna follow the shape of our owl's eye. So nothing too crazy. We're just gonna pull down and go to the side, just to create that shape. So here, now we're gonna do it again. Don't stress, because it's gonna be really easy. If you feel like you didn't get it the way that you like it, it'll be super easy to fix with the navy blue. So really don't stress about this. So I'm gonna start here. I'm not all the way at the edge of my eye because I want to leave some navy underneath it. You can see you've got some navy below it. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna pull down, just following the edge of the eye, and I'm going to pull up. And I'm just gonna do sort of on the bottom half. I'm gonna go back over it to make sure I've got full coverage. Of course, we're painting a very light color on top of a dark color. But
it really pops though. You could see it really well.
Good, I'm glad. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm using my number flat brush, the exact same thing on the other eye. We're just gonna mirror it. So we're gonna start in the center, holding our brush upright, and then we're gonna go all the way to the left and pull up. So here we go. Start here and go to the left and pull our brush up. So you want to make sure that they're even. So I can see I kind of stopped shorter than I did the other one. So I'm going to add a little bit here so my eyes aren't wonky. Because that's one thing about if you're ever painting animals or people even, if the eyes are sort of messed up, that's something that will always sort of show. The feathers can be all over the place. The beak can be however you want it to be. But eyes really should always be pretty symmetrical. They really should always be the same as each other. It doesn't even really matter how the eyes look. As long as it looks like your other eye, then you should be good to go. So just again, remember my advice from the beginning. Hold it up now and see if they're even. You can even touch it up. Hold it up in front of you. You'll be able to see if it's even way better than if it's laying flat in front of you. Oops. So that's why artists paint, you know, at standing canvases. If you ever wondered that, why they don't just sit down, it's because you can see the painting way better when you're standing up and it's flat in front of you as opposed to laying down on the table. You get a much better perspective of what you're painting. So it should look something like that. Okay, so I'm going to hang on to the same brush. It's my number 8 flat brush. And I'm going to pick up some true blue, which is like our sort of cobalty medium blue. So if you need to put more on your palette, feel free, but I've still got some on here. And we are going to add some highlights to our beak. So we're kind of just going to paint the same shape of the beak, but we're going to paint it tinier on the inside of it. So hopefully that makes sense. It's going to kind of look as if it has a little bit of dimension though. So I'm just going to sort of make a stroke in the middle, and I'm going to leave some navy blue on either sides. But again, I'm just sort of replicating that same shape just on the inside of the beak. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's very subtle. Hope you can see. It looks like there's a little bit of dimension. We just painted the exact same shape, but just right on the inside of that area. And again, this is my number 8 flat brush, and we're using true blue. So it's sort of the medium blue that we have. It's not the navy and it's not the light blue. It's that medium blue that we're using. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my, excuse me, my number 5 round brush. So this is just sort of our medium or smallish round brush, like a liner brush. And we're going to paint these cute little sort of eyelashes that give the eyes some more details. So you need some navy blue. I'm going to put some more navy blue on my palette again because mine's drying out really quick. So I'm going to pick up some navy blue. And we're going to follow, remember these sort of white feathers that we did? We're going to sort of follow the same shape we did with that, but we're going to start on the inside of our blue area. So we're starting the inside and then do our little swishes going out. And we're going to do 3 sort of fanning out on either side. We're going to start on the inside of the blue to sort of make it look like a continuation of the eye. So here we go. We'll start here and then sort of swish. You need to go back over it. My brush kind of dried out at the end, so I'm going to go back over it and make sure it's so you can see that line really well. Do the same thing and fan it out. Swish, swish. Super simple. We're really just following that same shape that we did with the white earlier.
This is a number 5 brush.
Yep, our number 5 round brush. So do the same thing on the other side. Start on the inside. Make sure I have enough paint on my brush. Go swish. Swish. And then swish. I'm doing 3. You can do more if you want or less if you want. It's totally up to you. This sort of makes it look more like a girl owl. So if you want to just be a boy owl, maybe you won't do as many of these.
That's all right.
Kira has declared this a boy owl, so we'll go with it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of digging the eyelashes.
You changed your mind?
I feel a lot of times guys have better eyelashes than girls anyway.
That's true. You're right. So now is a good time, if you feel like you need to touch up these irises that we painted in green, you can keep this brush and this paint and sort of clean that up. If you feel like you need to, if you got a little funky in an area and you feel like you want to clean it up and make it a little more crisp, feel free to do that now. This is a good opportunity. We've got the right color and the right brush in our hand for this. So feel free to go back and touch that up if you feel like you need to, but I bet you don't. And then we're also, I cleaned my brush a little bit too quickly. We still have the same brush in navy blue, still using the number 5 round and navy blue. And we're gonna put a little bit of detail around the beak. So we're gonna put a little bit of what looks sort of like feathers coming out on the left, just teeny tiny little guys, and coming out on the right, just to give the beak a little more texture and a little more detail, so it's not so plain. Now I'm going to clean my brush off. So I'm going to hang off this brush. This is my number 5 round brush still. I did clean it off. I just cleaned my paint off of it. And we are going to pick up some of our Ocean View, which is our light blue color. So feel free to add some more to your palette if you need to, just a teeny bit. You don't need much. This is Ocean View, our light blue color. And I still have my number 5 round brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit, and we're going to make a little bit of a highlight inside the green area using this. You can see we've got this pretty little highlight here. So we're just going to, in the sort of bottom left and bottom right hand corner of that shape, we're just going to make a little line to give it a little bit of a highlight, and just gives the eyes a little bit more dimension. Just a little, again, it doesn't matter how your line looks, just make sure that it looks like the other eye. That's all that's important. It doesn't matter if it looks like mine. If it looks like your other eye, then that's what counts. So your eyes look nice and even. Just a little bit of a highlight, just to give it a little bit more subtle realness. So now, again, that was really quick. Don't spend too much time on it. Just make sure that they're nice. They're at the same width as each other. And that was Ocean View. And we used our, sorry, I keep forgetting. We used our number 5 round brush, and that was Ocean View. So once you've got that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our number 8 flat brush, which is the tiny guy that we use to paint the green area. So this tiny little flat brush, we're going to pick up some white. And we are going to mark where this little highlight is in our eye. The little highlight, this little twinkle in our owl's eye, we're going to mark where it is. So you can see I have very little paint on my brush. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's hardly any paint on it. I'm going to use the corner, and I want to mark where my circle is going to be, because this is another one that's really important. If you have your 2 little highlights, if they're not symmetrical, if one's a little higher than the other, your owl's going to look cross-eyed. So this is another important one to make sure that yours is symmetrical. Again, it doesn't really matter where it is in your owl's eye. It doesn't have to be just like mine, but just make sure that yours are mirrored. So I'm going to do a little mark just so I can see where I want to put it. There's a little dot there. I think I'll have the highlight there. And then I'm going to hold it up in front of me to make sure that they're even for me. So I highly recommend you do the same to make sure that it's even on my painting. So again, I'm just putting a little dot just so I know where it's going to be. Just want to mark it so we know before we start painting the big circle, we want to make sure we've got it in the right place. So again, just mark it with the little corner of your brush and then hold it up in front of you and make sure that it looks even. You don't have a cross-eyed owl. Which would be really cute too, honestly. So now that we've done that, we still have the same brush, our number 8 flat brush. We're going to go right on top of that, and we're going to twirl our brush around. So here, I'm going to go right on this yellow here. It's kind of weird. This yellow is dry, just to show you guys how I'm going to do it before I do it on my canvas. I'm holding my brush perfectly upright, and I'm going to twirl it. Twirl it to the right, and then twirl it to the left to get a little circle. If you have like a spouncer or like a dotting tool at home and you feel more comfortable using that, feel free to do it. If you've got like a big pencil eraser or something, you can make a big dot with that. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my flat brush. So again, I'm going to go to the left very carefully, and then to the right to make sure I have a nice round circle there. And then you can go back and add a little bit more white if you need to. And then do the same thing over here. To the left and to the right. Have a nice round little highlight there, a little twinkle in our owl's eye. And all these little details in a painting really bring it to life. So if we had stopped a couple steps ago, we could have easily stopped and it would still look like an owl, but it wouldn't look nearly as fun. So that's why I love adding these final details. So once you've done that, we're gonna add the little extra sparkle in his eye. I'm gonna use the end of my brush. So any brush will do, but I still just have this one in my hand, it's my number 8. I'm gonna use the end of my brush as a stamp instead of using the bristles. I'm going to dip my brush in the Wicker white, and on the bottom right corner of this one, I'm gonna make a little stamp for an extra little twinkle, and then again, I'm gonna mirror it. So on this side, I'm gonna do the bottom left corner. I'm gonna stamp it. You can put a little more paint on that. Here. And that is it for our summer owl. So make sure, guys, when you're finished painting that you go ahead and sign it. Make sure you sign your work of art because you should be really proud that you finished it. So you can grab any of the little liner brushes and I like to just put my initials. But make sure you sign it, guys. I hope you enjoyed Summer Owl.
He's great. Everybody's holding them up, so this is the fun part. You get to see. Everybody holding them up, I want to see because I got to pick a person too.
Woo! I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is, like I said, this is one of my favorite paintings. So
awesome.
It's really bright.
Jesse, you can't see it, but there's tons of owls. It's awesome.
I wish I could see, guys. Yay. Make sure you go post them in the Let's Paint with Plaid Facebook group so I can see all of your paintings.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, guys.
Woo.
So good. All right, well, we will be back next Monday. Jesse, I think you're teaching a beetle next Monday, so we're sticking with the animals. Yeah, so thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you from Michael's. Hope everybody has a great week. I'm going to pick a winner real quick. Oh my gosh, you guys are so good. Lots of girls and boy owls, I can tell you right now.
You can tell by the lashes.
Right, that is my job to dictate which ones are boys and girls. All right, are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, I hate it, this part.
Woo.
I know. Sierra Tillman.
Woohoo! Congratulations, Sierra. You win.
Yeah, so Sierra, what you need to do, if you're still on there, I can't see you. I hope you're still there. So go to our Facebook page, our Plaid's Facebook page, and direct message us that you won watching a Michael's class, and we'll go ahead and make sure you get your product right out to you. So just check out our Plaid's Facebook page, send us a direct message, and somebody will contact you. So thank you guys so much, everybody, for joining and commenting and spending your Monday evening with us. Remember, you can go back and watch this on michaels.com. I got a thumbs up from Sabrina there. I just saw her pop up. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Michaels, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks.